have a white piece of paper. If you are a current junior, you should have a blue paper. If you are a current sophomore, you should have a pink paper. If you need a different paper or didn't pick up any of those, please head to the back and get what it is that you need. Okay? Now, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Mrs. Kunda. I am one of the school counselors here, and I want to introduce also Mr. Spaulding. He's back here also a school counselor, and then I also want to introduce over here Mrs. Stover, and she will be joining us this semester as a counseling intern. So some of you may actually be meeting with her at some point throughout this next semester. So we are here to help you in this process in any way that we can. First of all, thank you very much for coming in and for getting the papers that you need. Thank you for the attention that you're giving me already. In case you have friends that are absent today, this is being recorded and it will be posted up somewhere on the website, and we'll get that information out for both you and your parents so that this can also be reviewed should you need to do so. Typically, this is information that I would give you when I came in to do scheduling into your English classrooms. This year I wanted to do it a little bit differently to try to give you a little bit more time to maybe pick some of the classes. So today, even though you have the course offering sheet in front of you, the pink one and the blue one, we will not be asking you to turn those in to us today. I want you to be able to have time, go home, discuss things with your parents. As you go through this process, of course, these are sometimes pretty major decisions for you to be able to make. Next year we do anticipate the same 7-period day, 2-semester schedule. So the same as it's always been, when you get done, you have to have enough to be able to fill 7 periods a day. We will still come into your English classrooms. If you were here with us last year, you will recall that we had you go in and we had you put your classes in through Power School. So that kind of brings me to my first point. In order for you to be able to do that, when we do come into your English classrooms, you need to do that through your Power School account. I know some of you use your parents' portal, and that's fine just as a general rule, but this process won't work through your parent portal. So make sure that you know your own login information, and if you don't know that, you've got at least a week to be able to get down to the office and figure out how you can get into your own Power School account, okay? So that's one of the first pieces of information and kind of your first homework assignment if you don't already use your own Power School. I'm going to go over things in a big picture format, and then we're going to talk about the course offering pages and also cover the specific classes that you need at your respective grade levels that you will be entering into next year. All right, so I want to start with the white paper, first of all, and the chart side. And you will see here that the Core 40 diploma and the Academic Honors Diploma and the Technical Honors Diploma is spelled out. There has been no change to any of this. This is the same that you've seen since your incoming freshman year. And so you can look there very quickly and you can see what it is that is required for you to have in order to have met your credit diploma requirements. There are a few things that I want to make sure I point out in the area of math. Please note that the 6 credits for the Core 40 diploma have to be grades 9 through 12. So if you are in a position where you did Algebra 1 at the 8th grade level, that's awesome, and you brought those credits over and you have grades on your transcript for Algebra 1, that's fine, but you still need to do 3 years of math, grades 9 through 12, for even the Core 40 diploma. So make sure you take that into account, and I'm specifically talking to this year's sophomores in regards to that, because if you did Algebra 1 your 8th grade year, then you did geometry freshman, and then you did Algebra 2 this year, next year you're going to go into pre-calc, okay? So, and you need that even for the Core 40 diploma. For those of you working toward an academic honors diploma, just a reminder of a few things. That does require a 4th year of math. So you need to make sure that you have that in account as well. The academic honors diploma is the only diploma that requires 3 years of a world language. The Core 40 diploma recommends it. Some 4-year colleges require 2 years of a world language. Not all 4-year colleges. Ball State, for example, does not. But the academic honors diploma is the one diploma that does require 3 years of a world language. Also, the academic honors diploma requires 2 fine arts credits, and you can get that either through our music department, our theater department, our art department, or our student media department. And then there are also grade stipulations for the academic honors diploma. Every semester grade has to be a C- or higher on your transcript, and your cumulative GPA at the end of your senior year has to be at least an 8.0, so that's a B average by the end of your senior year. Also, you have to do one of where it is labeled there A through F, and most of you are going to do this by earning at least 6 college credits as you go through your coursework. So there are other ways that you can meet that criteria, but for most of you, that's how you're going to do it. And then for those of you working toward a technical honors diploma, the way that you get that is if you're completing and taking for college credit your Project Lead the Way courses, and you do 3 years of that, or sometimes if you do a program at the Career Center, and depending on what other classes you've taken. So those are the main diplomas, and they're outlined here for you. If you turn this over, I want to spend a little bit of time, because the reason I wanted to speak with your grade levels is because you fall under the same diploma criteria. As next year's seniors and next year's juniors, your diploma requirements are slightly different than next year's freshmen and next year's sophomores. So if you have a brother, sister, or a cousin, and they're going to be a freshman next year or a sophomore next year, then their diploma requirements are slightly different than yours. And I know it's always good to have that older student perspective and to help out, and I love to see that when it happens. But just be very mindful that theirs is a little bit different than yours. So as we look at this page, we have to make sure that you have completed all 3 of these circles, and we reference those as buckets, all 3 buckets. So what we're talking about today, and when we do scheduling, we're talking about the credits that you need, all right? And then bucket number 2, this is the employability skills. And so if you are involved in an extracurricular activity of any kind, whether it's a club or sport, if you do something in the community, if you're involved like in the civic theater productions, or if you do volunteer work, community service in the community, you can count that toward this bucket number 2. And then also if you have a job, you can count that as long as we have an employment letter of verification for bucket number 2. So there's lots of different ways for you to fulfill that requirement, and it's going to be different for each one of you. Bucket number 3, I want to spend a little bit more time with this one. You only have to fulfill one of these yellow bullet points, but you do have to meet at least one of them. So you'll see that if you are working toward an honors diploma, that will fulfill this bucket number 3 as well. Now, I do want to have a word of caution. I don't want you to say, oh, I'm working on an honors diploma, so I've got this covered. Because maybe senior year, you get to pre-calculus, and maybe it doesn't go so well for you, and you get a D. Well, now you're no longer on an honors diploma. So even though you can plan for that honors diploma, and I know many of you are, and many of you do, and many of you should, but also I want you to have in the back of your mind something else along the way as a plan B. So you'll notice the next one is an SAT. For the SAT, for your grade levels, you will be taking a school day SAT in March. And this essentially becomes what used to be the ISTEP test. but for you is now the SAT. And then you can see the scores there that you have to have. If you score high enough on the SAT, check, bucket number 3, you've accomplished this. The ACT can be the same. We don't give a school day ACT, but if you take it on your own, you can see the scores that you need there. ASVAB. Those of you that are juniors sitting in here, you had the opportunity to take the ASVAB in September. And this is one of the reasons why. So if your score was a 31 or higher, check bucket number 3. You have this done. If not, if your ASVAB score was lower than 31, then you will have another opportunity with the ASVAB next year as well as a senior. And for those of you current sophomores in here, you will be taking the ASVAB at that same time, probably around September or whenever it's scheduled. The next one, industry certification, that really only comes into play if you're doing a program at the Career Center. Apprenticeship, this really isn't something that we have here. The next one, CTE concentrator. Now I want you to look where it says class of 23 and 24. For you, you need to have 2 concentrators, and if you have a C or higher in both of those classes, then this can also check off this bucket for you. So all the others so far have been based on the honors diploma or on a test score. So this is course related. If you're a student and you do a little better in class and with classwork than you would typically do taking a test, then this is where you need to make sure you have a plan A or a plan B in place. And then also you can check this off by taking 3 dual credit classes. At least one of them has to be in a core subject area. So for instance, you could do BSU speech, and that would be considered core. So anything English, math, science, social studies, world language, those would be core classes. They don't all have to be that, but at least one has to be that. And you have to register for your dual credit, you have to earn your dual credit, and you have to have at least a C average in those 3 classes. And then you can also check that there. The other 2 don't apply here as well. So since I talked about concentrators, what I would now like to do is have you look at your course offering form. And so on the side where you would put your name, I'm not having you do that today, but where the side that you would put your name, I'm calling that the front page. So I want you to turn it to the back page. So on the back page, in the bottom of the first column, you are going to see where I have grouped together the classes that can be counted as concentrators. So you will find them, like Ag Power is one class, Agribusiness Management is another class. So they're grouped there together because together those are 2 concentrators that you can use to fulfill this bucket number 3. And I'll just let you kind of scan down through that and you can see what it is that you can take as concentrators. Now, one of your questions might be, do I have to take a concentrator? And the answer to that would be, no, you do not. This is just a way for you to be able to fulfill the bucket number 3 requirement, which you have to do by the end of the senior year. Obviously, second semester, your senior year, you can't get all 4 of these credits in your schedule. So you have to be planning now. All right, let's go to the front page of your course offering sheet. I'm going to start at the top in the agriculture department. So if you are doing the concentrators in the ag department, you'll want to make sure that you are indicating whatever else you need for a full year. Ag classes are generally viewed as a full year class, so you want to make sure that you have 2 X's there in those places. So things within the ag department, those are still the same classes, and you can indicate that. For those of you with the blue paper, if you are wanting to do an ag internship, So then you would indicate that, whether you want to do the first 2 periods of the day or periods 6 and 7. So if you are wanting to do an internship, but you plan to do it in the ag area, make sure you're marking there and you count that for 2 periods as you plan things out. In the next section would be our music selections. So if you're working toward an academic honors diploma, here is a way for you to get some fine arts. So this is a time for you to be talking with your teacher if you are currently in those classes to see what it is in terms of audition and what it is you should be signing up for next year as well. And then there's art. In the area of art, you need to have 2D art before you can take any other art class, and then you can indicate what it is you would like to have. Theater, if you have taken and passed English 9, then you could take theater or advanced theater if you're ready for that. In the area of business, I want to spend a little bit of time here because we do have some different names of classes. So accounting fundamentals and marketing fundamentals, those are classes, some verbiage that's now in there. Accounting we have this year, marketing we have this year. It's just called something a little bit different. Please keep in mind that if you want to do sports and entertainment marketing, you have to have marketing fundamentals first before you can do that. For those of you that are in the computer science or want to be in the computer science curriculum, you can see there that it's outlined, basically computer science 1, 2, and 3. You would sign up for whichever class you're ready for. Business math. Sometimes we get asked, is business math a math credit? Not for Core 40, not for academic honors, not for technical honors. So it is an elective. Personal financial responsibility is a required course. You may take it your junior or senior year. It is only a 1-semester course, and you just have to plan for it at some point. In the area of English, for those of you that will be juniors next year, you have your choice between English Honors 11 if you're in Honors now. Then you can move on to Honors next year. If you want to get a teacher recommendation to be able to take English Honors 11 next year, then your teacher needs to email either myself or Mr. Spaulding so that you can be in the proper section. For those of you that will be seniors next year, you have a lot of choices when it comes to English 12. You have our regular English 12 class, which is a full year. You have our Ivy Tech dual credit class, which is also a full year. And then you also have the choice of BSU 103, which is first semester, BSU 104, which is second semester. And then there's also the option of film literature. Film literature is only 1 semester, and it is not NCAA approved. So if you are planning to do D1 or D sports at college, then you can take film lit, you just can't count it as your English credit. It would count more as an elective for you, and you would still need an English credit, like English 12 or 111 or 103. So to help you to know the difference, English 12 is going to be the core curriculum for seniors at that level. English 111 is going to be a more rigorous curriculum. They do read literature in English 111, and they do work on writing in English 111 as well. When English 111, you get 3 college credits. You do all year in English 111 what BSU 103 does, because you get 3 credits in BSU 103 first semester, 3 credits in BSU 104 second semester. So BSU 103 is a rhetoric class, so you're writing to persuade, learning how to do that in 103, and in 104 it's research based. So both 111 and 103, 104 include writing, 111 includes literature, and 103, 104 you're going to end up with 6 credits by taking those. Speech is a required course. Some of you have waited to your junior year to be able to take dual credit speech. So you can do regular speech or you can do dual credit speech through BSU. Both of them are just one semester. All right, so moving on down the paper, we have our student media. So newspaper, yearbook, Eagle Zone News, world language. If you are on the academic honors diploma, you need to make sure that you're tracking. We want you, if you're ready for Spanish 3 or Spanish 4, make sure you're signing up for the dual credit section of that. Don't sign up for the regular section. If for some reason you don't want dual credit, that's fine. We can switch you out of that later. But we need to make sure that you're on our radar so we can get you signed up, or you sign yourself up for the Ivy Tech dual credit when the time comes. In the FACS department, there are some name changes here. For those of you, especially juniors. So we have Principles of Early Childhood Education. For those, and you're welcome to take that class. Advanced Child Development can only be taken by students who have already taken the 1 semester of child development, but maybe you didn't do Advanced Child Development yet. And there's also the Early Childhood Ed 1 and Early Childhood Ed 2 there, depending on where you might be in that sequencing. Principles of Culinary and Hospitality. That is now what was nutrition and advanced nutrition, but you can still take that class because it is a completely different course. And then the next level, nutrition, you have to have the prereq of Principles of Culinary Arts and Hospitality, so you really won't be able to take that class. I just have it in there so that for this year's sophomores, you'll know that that's something you could potentially take the following year. Introduction to Fashion and Textiles is still in there. It is a 1 semester class. In the next section, we have our tech area. So still offering construction, still offering Introduction to Manufacturing and Advanced Manufacturing, and then all of our Project Lead the Way engineering classes. And then I've sequenced those for you there as well so you can see that. On the back page, math. The sequence for math, Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, Pre-Calculus, and then Calc. So wherever you fall in that curriculum, that's what you would be doing next year. Just a note, our pre-calculus class can also be dual credit. If you look toward the bottom of that math section, you'll see it says pre-calculus trig. Right underneath that is math 136, 137, which is also pre-calc trig. So if you want to take the dual credit class, please make sure you're signing up for the one you want. And then we also have BSU Calc, which is Math 165, and then we have our quantitative reasoning class, which is BSU Math 125. So those are your math options at that point. In the area of science, you all need to have biology, and then you also need to have either integrated chemistry and physics, or chemistry, or physics. Okay, you can see that on the chart, on the white paper, and then any other Core 40 science class. Again, if you're wanting to do Bio 2, or Chem 2, or Anatomy and Physiology, make sure you're signing up for the dual credit course when you are doing that, so we make sure that we get you taken care of. The second column on that back page is Social Studies. For those of you that will be juniors next year, U.S. History is a required course. We have regular U.S. History and we have dual credit U.S. History. That's the Ivy Tech History 102. So if you want dual credit, make sure you're signing up for that. For next year's seniors, you have a 1 semester government requirement and a 1 semester econ requirement. So we offer both of those dual credit. You can take them both dual credit. You can do one regular, one dual credit. That's up to you, okay? And then we also have a sociology class next year. What you do not see there is psychology. So we no longer have psychology as an offering. Instead, we have sociology. So, and it is not dual credit. So underneath that section, you'll see our PE health area. If you have indicated that you are going to do the PE2 flex credit and you were going to do that this year, make sure you have the paperwork. Make sure you have picked that up. And you should actually be enrolled in a PE2 flex credit class. If you have not done that, then you need to either see me, Mr. Spaulding, or Mr. Overholt in order to take care of that. Because come your senior year, if you haven't had PE2 yet, you're going to be in PE2. All right? And the flex credit, again, means that you do 2 sports here at school in 1 year. And so there's paperwork that your coaches have to fill out, and you have to write a paper, then you give it to Mr. Overholt, he grades it and puts your grade in for you. Okay? So you have to be aware of all of those responsibilities. In the next section, for those of you that will be seniors next year, doing an internship can be an option for you. You have to find your place of internship. It can't be a family business, okay? So you have to find some place to do your internship. Most students will do it periods 6 and 7 in the PM. Mr. Lumen has the applications for that. He generally later in the semester will meet with everyone who signed up for that class and will give you your application so that that can be returned to him actually before the start of the school year next year. If you are wanting to do an internship at an elementary school, then you must do an AM internship because of the time that they dismiss. So you'll also need to get the same paperwork, it's just your schedule will be a little different. The Career Center is also an option for you now at the junior senior level. Next week, Thursday, will be a MAC presentation. All of the current sophomores, you'll be back in here to hear that. Any of you who are juniors right now, if you are interested in the Career Center next year, feel free to join that presentation during SRT next week on Thursday. And there is a MAC application that you will have to complete and return to me or to Mr. Spaulding. And you can note here, if it's AM, you get to take 4 periods with us. If it's PM, you do 3 periods of classes here with us. So you need to make sure you're going to get all your credits in to be able to do that. But that's something we can help you with as well. Peer tutoring is an option. What you are doing there is you are assisting Mr. Shane Conley and Mr. Harris in their classroom with students. There is work that you are expected to do. You do get a credit for that class, and so that's why there's work attached to that. If you want a study hall, if you've been here with us, you know you can do a study hall all year or just for 1 semester, whichever one you want. Mark what is your desire. If you are thinking that you are way short in credits and you might want DLC, I'm talking right now to current juniors, then you can indicate that on your paper as well. There's a place for that. Just because you mark it on your paper doesn't mean you are in DLC. It just means that Mr. Spaulding and I will look at where you're at. Mr. Eltwood will bring him into the conversation as well. For those of you who have an individualized education plan and you typically have a basic skills class in your schedule, there's a place for you to indicate that as well. And then on the day that we actually do scheduling, I would want you to provide us with some alternate classes, and so kind of think through that just in terms of electives. So as you think about your overall schedule, this is what I need you to think about. What do you need to have in English, math, science, social studies, world language if you need it, fine arts if you need it, concentrators. Those are kind of the priorities for you to think through. All right. Mr. Spaulding, would you like to mention where they can find the course description guide? And as he's making his way forward, I have probably a few minutes. So this is what is going to happen. You're going to take this paperwork home. You're going to discuss it with your parents. When you pick out your classes, I would like for you, if you want to, just to take a picture of this That way you have it on your phone so that when we come into your classroom, you're ready and you know what it is that you should sign up for. Okay? We'll just work it that way.
All right, guys. Just a couple things to add to Mrs. Kunda, just to help you with this process. First of all, if that bell rings, just hang tight. If you know me, I don't want to be up here any longer than you want to listen to. Okay? So, a couple things to remember during this process. On your sheets, your colored sheets, you're not selecting class periods, you're not selecting teachers, you're requesting that course. Okay? Then we come together, do what's called a master schedule, then that's when periods and teachers get assigned to those courses. Okay? So the very first step is you're requesting for that course. You're not requesting a teacher, you're not requesting a class period. Okay? Secondly, there's a bunch of classes on there. Some of you may have no idea what sociology is. We understand. Here's the easiest way for you to do this. We never want you to sign up for a class you don't know what you're signing up for. Okay? So if you go to the Delta High School, I'm going to underline that, Delta High School, not the Corp, but Delta High School webpage. You hover over for students, you hover over guidance and scholarships, and you click on course description guide. That will download, and now you have a description. Every class, what grades can take it, how many credits they're worth, so forth and so on. Okay, that was just updated last year. It's up to date for the most part, maybe a couple new classes to add to it, but that's your best resource. I don't know what this is. I don't know what you do in anatomy and physiology. I don't know what you do in Chem 2. Either talk to the teacher or go to that course description guide. Okay, thank you so much.